The idea of traveling through time is everywhere in pop culture today, from Bill and Ted right up to Endgame, and we owe it all to the prolific mind of H.G. Wells. In the original 1895 novella, Wells created not only the concept but the very phrase time machine itself. It is hard to imagine an idea that could open up more of a playground for the imagination, but on its own, the time machine stands as a thrilling adventure story and social commentary wrapped into one. So, we set our dials for 1895 and made time traveler cocktails. Hopefully none of us will devolve too much, because it's time for episode 42 of Toasting the Classics, The Time Machine. Welcome to Toasting the Classics. This is the podcast where we take something that people call a classic, we talk about it, then we decide whether it's still a classic, and the best part is while we're making our decision, while we're having that discussion, we drink a drink.
That's right.
To the
and you're following along.
Purported classic.
Hopefully you've got the drink in your hand.
Yeah, right. Let us know. How many of you are actually making the drinks at home? I'm always curious about that. Are people actually playing along? You know, we try to warn you before. I didn't. Oh, no, I did. I did actually. I got a text message from you just before.
Right.
To put that in the
it's legit.
outro.
It is out there. You've got no excuse. Ours is going to be a little bit different from yours, just because I didn't get all the ingredients.
Okay, so what's missing?
Mint, and then half a scoop of guava. Actually, no. I'm not using Schweppes blood orange seltzer because good luck finding that.
Yeah.
So I'm not using that, and I'm not using a half a guava.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that seems excessive.
Which is a garnish.
Excessive, yeah.
Anyway.
So what are we doing this week?
We are doing the classic H.G. Wells novella, The Time Machine.
Oh, there's a book?
Yeah.
Oh, I just watched the movie. No, I've read the book.
Which movie would you have watched? Have you seen either of the movies?
I've seen them both, actually.
Okay.
I like this book, and I liked the 1960 movie enough that when the 2002 came out, I was excited for it, and it was
terrible.
I don't know how you managed to have that much more special effects and just not do the job at all.
Well, the story is nothing at all like what the story is. It's totally different. I mean, they took complete liberties with it. They kept the name, kept the very essence of the premise.
Basically.
Like he had a time machine.
Yeah.
But that was it. You know, he kept trying to save his love. She kept dying and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, right.
You know,
I forgot about all that.
Had nothing to do with the original story, which the 1960s
I remember there was a villain.
Yeah.
They got Jeremy Irons to play an intelligent Morlock, and I was like, that's not what's supposed to be going on here. But there was, yeah.
Well, the reason he goes in the future, I think, is he keeps trying to save his love.
I remember that now.
Keeps dying from a
stagecoach
accident.
Stagecoach,
carriage runs her over or something.
Right.
And it just keeps happening. So he's I can't take it. So he just goes in the future. The original was fantastic, and I watched it when I was really young, and it scared the crud out of me.
I did too, and it was
Morlocks are scary.
Scary, like in an upsetting kind of way, not like in a things pop out at you kind of way. There's a little bit of that. The Morlocks are creepy looking.
Right.
But it's also just kind of messes with your head. It's like it's a kind of book it's a kind of movie you think of, or book, movie, whatever it is, you think about it a lot. So there's a lot of big ideas going on underneath it.
A lot of big ideas.
Yeah.
So he coined the term time machine.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's true.
Everybody agrees on that. So every time you see, you made a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Yeah.
That's direct from H.G. Wells,
right?
Every time you hear time machine, it's H.G. Wells. He came up with that, which is pretty cool. I mean,
TM.
Right,
no,
sort of.
Not really.
Well, my 11-year-old would call it big brain. That's big brain.
What's that mean?
I don't know. It's smart, I guess.
Oh.
That's his thing. He's like, hey, Daddy, I was big brain today. I did something, and he would tell me some shortcut he had, so he was big brain. Anyway.
Okay.
But time machine was big brain. The whole concept, going through time was...
Yeah, there's a lot of... so this is the first instance of a thing you built, a machine that scientifically and electronically or whatever it is, it wouldn't be electronics even, but that a thing that can take you through time. There are time travel stories before this, but they're more of a magical sort.
Metaphysical
or they don't get into how the people can time travel or something like that. Like even something like Rip Van Winkle is sort of a time travel
Connecticut
story.
Yankee.
Connecticut Yankee, but I don't know what year that was written.
Well, let's see. This is 1895.
They're contemporaries to some extent. So it could be after.
Well,
That's a good point.
He died in 1946. Wells died in 1946. So.
Oh, really? 1940?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because he lived to see World War II. Correct. I remember reading that. Yeah.
So he was much younger than Twain. I think Twain was probably 20 years older than him, maybe 30.
1889. 1889 is Connecticut Yankee. So it's before. So this is 95.
Right,
okay.
95,
so yeah.
So.
All right. Good. That's a good example. Yeah.
But see, that's an example where he falls and hits his head. Wakes up and he's in King Arthur's Court.
There's no machine. Right? There's no.
And you mentioned Rip Van Winkle. That was, was that 18th century?
It's like it's Washington Irving, so it's close. I think it's actually early 19th century.
Yeah, it's like right on the cusp, isn't it?
But it's way back. And then I actually listened to a podcast recently about like older ideas of time travel going way back, and there were a couple of things in like Hinduism. Huh. There's a part of I think the Mahabharata where somebody. It's time travel in the sense that it's like they go to visit the gods, and then the gods drop the bombshell that like while you were here, time was moving like 1,000 times as fast back on Earth, so you've just like missed your whole life. And they're like, "Wow, you could have told me that before." But I think it's the Mahabharata. I'm not sure what Hindu text, but there is an idea. It's kind of like Rip Van Winkle.
Right.
It's one way, but it's the idea of going into the future. So the idea has been out there for a long time. But this is definitely.
I think there's even like time travel in Paradise Lost. If I remember correctly.
That's interesting.
Like
I don't actually know Paradise
Lost or something like that. But in any case,
okay.
Yeah, I think the concept of time travel, where you wake up in a different time, or you go to sleep, you're at a different time, or something like that. Yeah, that's been around for a long time. But in this one, somebody builds a machine to do that.
Right. And there's a discussion.
You have like a catalyst. Well, not a catalyst, but you have a vehicle in which that can make that happen.
Yeah. And there's a whole discussion of like. If not the physics or the science of how it happens, just the idea of treating time as a separate dimension, something you can travel in.
Right.
I imagine that must have just blown people's minds at the time. This is before Einstein.
I wanted some space time continuum talk. I wanted I can't meet myself in time because something would happen.
Right.
Never happened, but I was hoping. It got close.
Yeah, he talks about it because what I never understood, and I sort of got it more this time I read it, was, okay, so you're in this machine, and the machine travels.
Right.
So why isn't the machine sitting in the room and everybody's bumping into it? But the guy gives a really good metaphor, which is that it's like looking at a fan, and if it's moving fast enough, you can't see it moving.
Right.
And I was like, okay, all right, so it's moving through time really fast, you can't see it. Yeah. I get it now,
Well, and in the movie, it spins around, I think, something like that. Or maybe, no, it's just the back of it. The back of it spins around.
Yeah, it's got the thing on the back. Yeah. Do you remember in Gremlins? When he's at the fair, the inventors fair, and the one guy's got a time. He's like sitting in the time machine from the movie, and then when it pans back, it's gone. And he's like, "Yeah, the competition's pretty stiff here." Like,
I don't even remember that.
There's a whole bunch of classic Robbie the Robots. There.
I remember there was a show on called Phineas and Ferb for a while on Disney, and they had a time machine. They found the time machine in the museum. Like in a museum in town, and it was this time. It was the time machine from the movie.
Sure, yeah.
With the thing on the back.
To some extent, it's the classic time machine, the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Yeah,
I guess.
So, how would you describe that time machine from the 1960 movie? I would call it. I would say it kind of looked like a small sled with a big round, almost like a what would you call it? Like a roulette wheel type of thing on the very back.
It looks like
that would spin.
The flying thing from Return to Oz. There's like a flying carpet monster, and it looks a lot, or like the thing from Bed Knobs and Broomsticks that they travel at the bed that they travel on in time.
Like a sleigh.
No, they don't go in time. Do
sleigh
they?
style bed or something.
Can't
like
remember
that
movie very well, but something like that. Yeah.
But then it has a lever where you go side to side, and that takes you forward or back.
Right. In the book, he's got multiple levers.
It's 2 levers, yeah.
And they're turning based on whether it's days or weeks or whatever. And
those are the dials.
The dials, I guess that's true, yeah.
He actually had one dial for millions of years. I was like, really? Yeah. And that one was spinning like crazy. Oh, okay.
He goes forward millions of years, but he goes forward like 30 million years.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is showing the change in how people understood the geological timescales. I mean, 30 million years, the sun's not going to be dead in 30 million years.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because that's sort of what everybody thought would happen was the sun would just burn out eventually.
Right.
Right. And so he saw the sun like getting bigger as it was like a red giant type of thing.
And the idea that like what would happen is it would expand and like pull in planets, and then the fire of the sun would burn hotter because it had gotten more fuel. And like, not how the sun works. There's a lot of missing information about science there.
You see some giant crabs and
Giant crabs, I could be down with that. That image stuck in my head. It's just the time scale is not enough. If you went forward 2 billion years, you might see something like that.
Well, what he saw was an evolution and de-evolution of man, right?
I guess it's supposed to be man because there's no other creatures alive, right? They've killed off all the other animals.
Or man's gone, and that's what's left on the earth. Right. These weird crustacean things.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
It's sort of like that's sort of where they thought everything started from, right? That they started from. I mean, Darwin was popular, obviously, and so we crept out of the water as crustaceans and eventually became men.
Not only was Darwin was a big deal, but Darwin's most famous champion, Thomas Huxley, was H.G. Wells' advisor at college.
Interesting.
So he studied directly under Darwin.
Yeah, he was a biology. Yeah, he studied biology. Yeah,
he's very heavily influenced by that kind of Victorian era evolutionary thinking. Big part of it. So what are we drinking tonight? Let's get into it.
We are drinking the Time Traveler cocktail.
The Time Traveler cocktail. And who calls this the Time Traveler cocktail?
Schweppes.
Schweppes
soda water.
Right.
I found it that there is three, if you look up Time Traveler cocktail, you'll find 3 different cocktail recipes. I found the one that was most likely, that I can most likely make. It's it's gin, about an ounce of gin. It's going to be about 1.5 ounces of passion fruit pulp.
Okay.
And then about 1 ounce of soda water and orange juice. They use blood orange juice. I don't have access to blood orange juice.
I would never actually feed this to anybody, but I was thinking something that would be appropriate for this book would be when I moved into a house with my friends, and this would have been in 1999. We all moved into a house together, and somebody had abandoned a bottle of Corona in the pantry before we moved into the house.
Okay.
And as a joke, we just left it there. We just had this bottle of Corona the whole time we lived in the house. The guys finally moved out 3 or 4 years later, and apparently one of my roommates took the bottle of Corona with him, and as he moved around Northern Virginia to various different apartments, I'd come visit, and I'd be like, you still have that bottle? And be like, yep, there it is. I think he's still got that bottle. I was thinking, that'd be what happens to a Corona after being abandoned for 30 years would remind me of the world of the Morlocks and the
My wife would have had me get rid of that.
Yeah, she wouldn't have let you get away with something like that?
No. Well, I guess maybe, but it's kind of on me to find a place for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
So yeah, that is what we are drinking today. We're using I've never had it before. This is New Mexico gin. So this is supposedly made in Albuquerque, but I can't, doesn't seem to unscrew.
So interesting. Can we take a look at it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's turning.
Yeah, just turns.
I think we need to grip it in 2 different places, perhaps.
There you go. Look at that. God, how do you get your hands so strong? What?
I have one of those little squeezy things.
Just curious. Is that what it is?
Or the little yin yang.
I have one of those too.
The metal yin yang balls that you spin around your hand, Furious Styles and Boys in the Hood. So now you're putting in the guava juice.
Yeah, I'm putting this.
Started off with a base of gin.
Let me just shake this real quick.
So what does this have to do with being a time traveler cocktail?
No idea.
Oh, bummer.
No idea.
There's a lot of fruit in the world of the future that he travels to.
That sort of makes sense. I mean, if we're trying to justify it.
He just kind of lives off fruit off the trees. I mean, unless you're a cannibal, that's the only thing there is to eat.
Typically what they do with a drink like this, when they call it something like that, it's because that's how strong it is. It's a super strong drink, and it'll send you back in time or something stupid like that.
I can see through time.
Right. This one isn't nearly that bad. So
right. Okay.
I'm going to use.
Depends on how you make it, man.
Handy dandy.
What is that? What's so handy? What is
this?
That?
This is a Challenger coin.
Challenger coin, like from the shuttle Challenger?
No. Challenger coin is something they have typically in the military. There's big coins, and it's usually like for the unit or something like that, and people trade them. Huh. This one happens to have a bottle opener on it, which is why I'm using it.
What is that Challenger coin from?
This is from a bar in Honolulu called Smith's Union Bar.
Okay.
Smith's Union Bar is the oldest bar in Hawaii, in the islands. Legally, it was open in 1934. It was probably open during Prohibition.
The oldest bar in Hawaii is only from 1934, huh?
Yeah, believe it or not. Huh. It actually turned out, I went there and I checked it out for my book, Bucket List Bars, plug. Turned out that was actually the bar that the crew of the USS Arizona frequented.
Oh, okay. So somewhere over there by Pearl Harbor?
So yeah, it's actually in Chinatown, downtown. If you know where Iolani Palace is, in the downtown area. Okay, so if you go
completely shuttered up when we were there. That whole area of town was completely closed up, so we didn't get to do
due west of Iolani is Chinatown, and that's where this little bar is at.
That's good. Tastes like I'm drinking guava juice. The gin is not really leaving much of an imprint on me.
No, it's not going to. And that's sort of what happens with these kind of drinks.
Yeah.
Fruity, alcohol.
Maybe I'm getting a little bit of that junipery gin taste, like as an aftertaste, but mostly it's just the fruit drink. So that's, I guess, what you want from your...
Well, from any mixed drink, really.
How do you feel about Jarritos?
That's good.
You like that?
Yeah. I think they use cane sugar.
You can only get that at like special bodegas and things where I grew up.
Really?
I was aware of this drink, but it's not, like here it's just in sort of common circulation everywhere you go.
Yeah, so
What's the flavor on? Is that tamarind or is it something else?
Oh, it's supposed to be orange.
Oh, mandarin, okay.
Rather. But it's flavored with actual sugar instead of corn syrup, as all good Mexican sodas are.
Yeah, exactly.
So there we go, the time traveler. Cheers.
Yeah. Here's to the year 806,345 or whatever the heck it was.
He kept saying it, or the way he kept writing it was just lame. It was 8,125.
It was way, way in the future. If I had a time machine in front of me, don't you think you'd play around with it first before you went that far into the future? He sort of gives the impression that the time traveler is like being a little crazy when he does it. Like he gets a little manic.
Well, he doesn't get manic.
He doesn't want to stop.
I think he gets carried away. Yeah,
he gets carried away. Right.
He just wants to keep going, keep going. But
I would be like, let's go 10 minutes in the future and see what happens. Did I morph into a wall or something? Or did my innards explode?
Right.
I think I'd test it before I went. Oh, I don't know, 1,000,000 years into the future.
One of the problems is something that I don't quite get is he's doing that and he's going faster and faster. Like he's increasing it faster to a point where he sees nothing. All he sees is it's light dark, light dark, light dark, like that. And what's the fun in that type of thing?
I don't know.
In the movie,
I love it in the movie. It's
so
because
cool. When I was walking fast and doing all kinds of stuff is built, stuff is torn down. It's all kinds of crazy stuff happening.
This wouldn't be my biggest surprise from this viewing, from this reading, but like when I finally sat down and read the original book, I don't know, like in high school or college or something, I was surprised because I thought H.G. Wells had predicted the First and Second World Wars and had written them into the book in the first place because they show up in the movie.
Sure.
And a nuclear war and things like that.
Bombs,
I was always like blown. My mind was blown by that, But when I read the book, I was like, oh no, he didn't.
Well, that you're right because that did happen in the movie. It was a nuclear holocaust that did everything.
Which makes sense.
It makes
perfect sense. It makes a little more sense than what he's writing.
Actually, this is really smart. Okay, this is what makes it a timeless classic. Have you ever seen the movie Time Cop?
Yes, I have actually. I don't remember it very well.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay, look up Time Cop on your handy dandy little computer there, would you?
Look up Time Cop.
Yeah, okay. And see what year it was made.
Oh, I'd say 94 or so.
Just see what that says.
Time Cop, 1994.
Okay.
Boom.
Now,
in one.
Look at the plot and see what time they travel to. Or like what it's...
Well, they go to different times.
What year is it set in, though?
I remember the part where they went to the Civil War.
Okay.
Let's see. 2004? Is that... Yeah.
2004. Okay.
I mean, even
10 years,
when you wrote that movie, you must have known that's not far enough.
10 years later, right? So 10 years later, we're going to have time machines. And do you remember how futuristic everything was 10 years later?
Yeah.
It's 2004.
Why would you think that everything would be that different?
But it does that. If you think about that, like I think that happened all the time. Like so many, I remember, in the 40s or 50s, sci-fi was set in like the year is 1990 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
The problem with that is the year reaches. Eventually, we're going to get there.
Well, there's a book called 1984.
Right.
Yeah.
And if none of that happens...
Which was not really about technological change, though.
No,
so I guess it kind of makes sense that didn't really happen.
But what supposedly the story is that he wrote it in 1948 and he just transversed the numbers.
That makes sense,
I mean, that would always happen in sci-fi of the 1900s is they would put it like 50 years in advance, right?
Right.
Well, what happens when you get 50 years in advance and we look at that and we laugh at it? Nobody's wearing foil. We're not wearing Mylar or whatever it was, We don't have Jetson cars. He puts it way out of reach. People aren't going to be able to laugh at that until the year 8000 and be like, what are you talking about? We don't have Eloy and Morlocks.
There's always a combination of getting a bunch of stuff right and like screwing other things up.
Usually
people don't predict social change very well. Like you watch Star Trek, right? Like the original Star Trek. It's supposed to be taking place, I think, like 2200 or something like that, right?
Still fairly early.
And like
the women are still behaving like women from the 60s.
Right.
You know,
all the hairdos.
Yeah, the hairdos. And also they're just kind of bimbos hanging out on the ship. Like, they don't have jobs. Like,
right.
I mean, Uhuru does. She's important. But, like, there's other women that are just apparently on the ship to hook up with Captain Kirk.
Absolutely.
They just didn't think of that.
Right.
You know, it didn't occur to them. I used to play there was a role-playing game that was supposed to take place in the future, and a big aspect of it was having the Matrix, which was like the internet. You know, you plug into the internet and you can go on and, like, you know, experience things in virtual reality and stuff like that. It was a really cool idea. To some extent, this was in the 80s they wrote this game, so it was sort of seeing the internet ahead of time. But then they had to rewrite the thing in the 21st century because it had never occurred to them you might be able to use the internet wirelessly. So they had to completely rewrite the setting, you know, to it.
Well, in Neuromancer, William Gibson wrote that in like 81 or 82, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And he had kind of the internet, and you could plug into it, and they call it jacking into it.
And Neuromancer, that version of the Matrix is what this role-playing game is based on. Yeah, there's Cyberpunk and Shadowrun and a couple games like that. But they just couldn't conceive of being able to get that much information.
But like you said,
in your hand,
science fiction is hit or miss because then again, Star Trek had the communicators, right? The wireless communicator type.
You basically have like a little iPad. A lot of them have.
Yeah,
they have
tablets,
iPhones that they're using. There's all kinds of stuff.
So sometimes it happens. But in this case, I just thought, if he'd got 100 years ahead, I don't think we would talk about this book anymore.
Right.
If he'd said, in 1995.
Also, he is talking about like evolutionary change.
Yeah.
So you can't be 100 years in the future, which is actually kind of refreshing because if you think about it, 800,000 years, that's enough time for there to be change in the species.
8,000.
No, it's 800,000.
No, I thought it was 8125. 800
something thousand because it's just long enough that it kind of is plausible. It's a little bit too much change, honestly. This is way more difference than like if you see what human beings were like 800,000 years before today. They were different, but like a Neanderthal is not as much different as like what the Eloi and the Morlocks are like. I mean, they're like the Morlocks are like totally inhuman. They don't speak anymore. Do they have blue skin in the book, or am I just? That's in the film.
They were white. It's just white hair. Is what
I think so. Yeah. They're sort of like white apes. So maybe it's a little bit less. It kind of makes sense.
He was so I don't know. I guess it. Sort of. I didn't think it was 800,000. I thought he wrote it in a weird way, not like 8,125 or 800,100.
Well, he didn't write it in like AD or anything.
Right. Well,
802,701. Oh, no, it does say AD.
802,000.
802,701 AD.
Okay.
You'd think when you get that far forward, you'd stop counting it. Like on BC and AD. That's just that would seem more and more random the farther forward in the future.
Such a large number. I don't know if 1895, if you could even conceive of that. But I sort of thought the Eloi were a bit odd. Okay.
Yeah,
and then his having a relationship with they were just like children. They were small. Okay, they're small.
So that's a big question I have about the book. Does he have a relationship with Weena?
I don't. Well, he does, obviously.
He says he goes back to her caresses at one point, and I was like, "Does that?" Because at one point he's talking about how she just kind of pets him. I'm like, is that a euphemism?
Kisses him all over.
Is that stuff like that? And he talks about how they're very free, sexually. They're like liberated and just carefree like that. Right. And I was like, okay, so is that what's going on here? Because I
think so.
Because this creature's like 4 feet tall. It's like a hobbit.
4 feet tall, but. Just kept saying childlike. I mean, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of background. H.G. Wells, by the way, as being like a really famous what is the decadence movement. I don't know if he was officially like part of it, but all those guys like Oscar Wilde and stuff like that. Like he was kind of one of those sort of guys. I think he's actually a little bit after them for the most part. He was a little younger than they were. Very famously, open marriage that he forced upon his wife and stuff like that. Like all kinds of just debauchery going on in the guy's private life.
Hedonism.
Yeah, exactly. Which goes along with a lot of the sort of Victorian, what am I trying to say? Like atheistic outlook. There's like that hit a lot of people really hard. Like the loss of religion, I think, hit a lot of people really hard.
I think that was definitely a sect because Victorians are also known to be very strict as well.
I mean, like the intelligentsia.
There's another side of it.
Yeah. But I mean, there was like a
movement then.
Right? A movement among the artistic type people that like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like I think we talked about this before. did the picture we have of the 60s where everybody's like a hippie and free love and stuff like that
totally untrue,
doesn't represent 90% of the people that were around at the time. Right. That was a certain swath of society, you know, but and I think that'd be the same for this.
Yeah, probably so.
It's kind of hard to say what was the reality because we didn't live there, but
well, all I know is he kept referring to the Eloi as childlike, and he was being caressed by one of them. So very odd.
Perhaps not not great.
Probably not a good look.
I think if we had more, if we read about H.G. Wells' private life, I think we'd be having like a Bill Cosby type conversation about H.G. Wells.
Well, there's
a lot of stuff that would not be okay, I think, with a lot of people today. Maybe not as bad as what we talked about in the last episode, but still. And he was a communist.
Socialist,
yeah, socialist, and I think probably pretty much of a communist, as well. But
I think there's a bit of a difference.
Yeah, there is a bit of a difference. But this world that he creates is an outgrowth of what he thinks will happen.
Right. Well, the labor.
No, it's not because of communism, is it? That's what he thinks at first when he meets the Eloi. He's just like, oh, everybody just has all their needs met and everybody's equal, so it's degenerated. But then he realizes that no, what happened was they oppressed this other class of laborers, and the laborers eventually evolved into cannibalistic.
Well, I think it was
into chuds,
Marxism, right? I mean, because he had the
but Marxism that never
the proletariat that was
there never was a revolution,
right?
That's just the capitalistic mode just won out, and the division of society into these classes lasted for thousands of years.
Am I correct in saying the Morlocks? So the Morlocks are underground. Mm-hmm. They're the ones dealing with machines.
Right.
They actually do stuff. The Eloi are up top. Are on the surface world. They live carefree, eat fruit, do whatever, never work, don't do anything. So is it my understanding that the Morlocks still do things for them?
Yeah.
So they're still making their clothes, they're still doing all that stuff, right?
He even admits, like, within the character that he's not sure about any of this, but he's theorizing. For instance, they have sandals that are made that have been manufactured.
Right.
And he says that he thinks probably the Morlocks just do it out of instinct.
Yeah.
They just continue to create these things and they don't know why.
Right.
But he also says, I don't know. I might just be making that up because it's not like he went down and studied them in any detail. So they must be doing something.
Well, and he hears machinery.
Yeah, the machines are all running and things like that. I don't know what the machines are doing per se.
I don't know, but he talks about, they always have new robes, new identical robes and stuff like that.
Right. So it
has to be made somewhere.
Something like that, yeah. Otherwise, maybe it's just they're just kind of ritualistic, like they just operate these machines because that's what they always did, and
maybe I don't know.
They don't ask any questions about why they're doing it anymore. He doesn't really get into the backstory.
Yeah, it's all speculative.
Yeah. Even within the story, it's speculative. Sure. So that's kind of cool. I liked the bit with the museum. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That's in the movie, but it's different.
He
finds like a record.
A ring. It's a ring. So he spins a ring. And it's like a vocal history of what happened. And that's when he talks about the Holocaust, or not Holocaust, the apocalypse. And everybody drops a bomb and stuff. No, the 1960 version was very much like anti-nuclear war type of stuff, right?
Fair enough.
Which is sort of what you got in the 1960s. But this one's, they speculate that he is talking directly about the classes, the class separation in the world, and how it's unsustainable. So the Morlocks are the lower class, and it's, figuratively and literally because they are under the ground,
Right.
And those that live in the sunshine are the upper classes, and it's unsustainable because of what is happening. I mean, the Eloi have no skills.
Yeah.
They cannot watch after themselves. I mean, so he saves this one named Weena.
Right.
Who's caressing him a little bit later.
Right.
Because she just kind of drifts away in a river.
Everybody just watches.
Everybody just watches, so he jumps in and saves her. Otherwise, she would just, died.
Mm-hmm.
So they have no skills. They can't do anything for themselves. They get up, they eat, they sleep together. I mean, literally sleep, not...
Yeah, I get it.
Euphemistically.
I get it. They don't really have much in the way of genders. Like they do.
Not really, not
they
really.
They do, but there are no gender roles.
Yeah, right.
And because of that, he's saying that it looks like their bodies have sort of come all into one. I thought that was interesting. I was thinking, like, that's kind of, I think, what's sort of happening in our society today, right? Like, we sort of have a little bit of, like, we don't really need the division of genders the way that we did 1,000 years ago. You don't You don't really need like big burly people.
We don't really have a lot of manual labor.
We don't do as much manual labor. Yeah, exactly. So
farming is automated, things like that. All those, most of the jobs that we would have taken big burly men to do is being done by machines now,
And you also don't have not a lot of households are set up so that like the woman stays at home and takes care of the kids and the man goes off to work. We just don't. I mean, some people still do that, but usually the less you're involved in the manual labor, the less that's what your household's going to be like.
Yeah.
So some of that is kind of interesting. I was thinking that's kind of you could see that being where evolution would go. Yeah. Like if that's what we have, like why would we need to have specialized males?
Right.
I think honestly having great big males around is kind of dangerous for society. It'd probably be better if we just everybody was
kind
smaller.
of dangerous for society.
Yeah, I mean crimes are 90% committed by men, right?
By big men?
Well, I mean I'm saying versus women. Having men we have a little bit of sexual dimorphism where men are slightly bigger and stronger than women, and that gender is the one that commits most of the crimes. Unless you really need that in your society.
Men should be small, supple little things?
I could see why evolution will put us that way is what I'm saying. I could see why it would be detrimental to be.
I would say that not all countries are the United States.
No, not yet. Not yet.
And we've got a long ways to go before those in Botswana have it as easy as we do, and don't have to be big burly people.
I always think though, in terms of the equalizing of what life is like in different countries, we're talking a century or two, not millennia. I think by 2300, I don't think there'll be that much of a difference.
We could hope.
Yeah, I mean that's what you hope exactly. Yeah. So that's not that funny or anything though. That's just more serious.
That's really
pontificating.
Yeah. I think bloviating is a better
bloviating. Word. No, I'm dead serious. I'm not bloviating. I'm not just using up space on here.
Okay, filibustering.
Yeah. So Weena's supposed to be super passive.
Okay,
but she kind of goes after him a couple of times. Like when he kind of tries to go down the tunnel to go see the Morlocks, and she's like pulling at him and hitting him and stuff. And I'm like, where does that come from all of a sudden? It's like the only thing that she cares enough about to actually be active about is this taboo about the Morlocks, I guess.
I think so.
Like just stay away from them.
I think so, yeah. I think the Morlocks are these dreadful, terrible things, creatures that haunt them. And actually, you know what? Did you ever see the movie I Am Legend?
Yes.
It really reminded me of that. You know how all the zombies stayed in the dark, right? Never came out.
Yeah.
So don't go in the dark. And they were watching them from the dark. Everything really reminded me of this a lot. I wonder how much influence this had on that kind of genre.
It could have. There's the Peter Matheson book that's based on. I think that's the name of the author, which was better than the movie. Mostly the movie was not good because the CGI was dreadful.
CGI was terrible.
It was kind of a cool idea. I kind of enjoyed the movie otherwise, but the CGI was really bad.
Just the concept where they're living in the shadows during the day, but they're watching you at the same time. And I mean that because they were
I think that idea that there are dreadful things out there in the darkness is a super deep human fear.
Yeah, I think there is, but
just we fear the night.
But just like the time machine, time travel has been around. It took him to add it to a machine. I think the idea of putting a face on that dread.
Yeah,
he sort of did that. I mean, there are things lurking in the darkness in this book.
The night is dark and full of terrors. Yes,
right. But there are specific things that will come out and get you and grab you. Not only that, but they're watching you. They know where you are. And the fact that his time machine was taken during the day, right? He goes back to it.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the Morlocks snuck out and took the machine.
Snuck out and took it. Right.
That's weird.
It is weird.
I didn't think about that.
Violated their own principles.
I mean, I guess it would be. But see, that shows you that the Morlocks really are very different than the Eloi. They're thinking more.
Yeah.
Like they trap him.
Well, they planned it. Yeah, they planned it.
They try to trap him. They go out and they take the machine.
Yeah.
They sort of take it apart and exploit. So they're. They seem to have retained their intelligence to some degree.
They oiled it. I forgot about that. Yeah, because they're into machines. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
He took away a piece.
Yeah, he took away the levers.
The lever.
Yeah.
So they couldn't use it.
But they apparently oiled it and stuff like that.
Do I remember this right? In the film, does he kill a Morlock and then use the time machine and watch the Morlock's body decay in front of him?
I don't remember that part.
I was trying to remember whether that's something.
Wouldn't surprise me. That would make sense.
Yeah, I could see why it would. Yeah, but I can't remember if that actually happens. So he goes way into the future after all the events.
Yeah, that's millions of years. We don't know.
That's 30 million years or something like that. Yeah. That's weird. Did you ever watch the show Cosmos or read the book Cosmos, the Carl Sagan thing?
I've watched. That was the PBS thing that he had, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like when we were little kids.
Yeah, I'd watched it, yeah.
So my dad had the book for it, and I used to flip through looking at the pictures like before I could read. And there was this one picture of like the dying Earth with the sun like fading in the distance.
Right.
And it creeped me out so much. And it kind of reminded me of the Time Machine and stuff like that. And I remember like if I was ever out when I was a little kid and the sun was kind of behind some clouds or hazy, I was like, is this it? Is that like, is the sun dying? You know, like,
well, it always looked like, I remember the picture. I know the picture you're talking about because it's like kind of a sunset type of thing.
Yeah.
And everything looks like this primordial, like kind of everything's rotting.
Yeah,
and just
it looks like the image from the Time Machine from the
right.
book, I think.
Yeah.
I think it might sort of be drawn on that. I don't know. I mean,
I think so.
But yeah, so you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was just I thought that was so creepy when I was a little kid. I don't know why. I don't know why that really stuck in my head.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying is like they thought that the end would be like the beginning. So the beginning, they use that same picture to show the beginning of everything as well, like the primordial mist and the swamp and everything else. It looks exactly like the end of times too.
So what do you think? So I was wondering this. So he's telling all this stuff, and it's sort of like a little bit about his political beliefs, the socialist beliefs and things like that. So what is the point of this future that he's talking about? What's he trying to get us to do? Is he trying to get us to change what the future might be, or is this just a fantasy?
I think the class system is really what he's talking about here. It seems to be what he's talking about here, and I think it's the dangers of the class system. I don't think he's saying get rid of it, but I think he's saying that we need to remedy it because it will lead to not this. I think it's being hyperbolic to say it is, but I think it was meant to as a warning for just classism, right?
Yeah.
And so you had, which is really interesting because he was part of this genteel, really upper class, and he's living in a time when class division was huge, but he was benefiting from being on the top and not the bottom. Although he grew up,
he
in
didn't
the bottom.
grow up super. Yeah,
he grew up in the bottom.
He sort of rose up, showing a little bit of class mobility. Weirdly enough, which wouldn't have been. I think somebody like discovered him, if I remember the story right.
Right.
So he ended up at either Oxford or Cambridge. I don't remember which one, but there couldn't have been that many slots at Oxford and Cambridge if you think about it. So how many people actually had the opportunity?
Right.
Like today we have many, many good universities in America. Like it's definitely a lot more opportunity. It's not like you can only go somewhere in life if you went to Harvard or Yale.
Right.
No,
you're right.
That's
you're right.
nice.
But,
that
but
helps.
I mean, you're right. Now that's an excellent point. There's social mobility that he benefited from, yet he was kind of warning about the dangers. But I think though at his time, I think class, the gap between lower and upper class back then was so much more profound.
Oh, yes. And always was in England, by the way.
Right.
Class is, even today, they try to pretend that it's not the case, but it's way more rigid there.
Yeah.
It's like if you ever make a comment about somebody's accent in the United Kingdom, people will look at you like you just talked about race. It's like the way people talk about race in America. It's like you don't talk about it because you're like branding somebody as lower class by having not the right accent. To me, that's like maybe we're a little bit like that about Southern accents, I guess, but it's I don't know. I just think they were a lot more rigid. Like I mean, actually official titles, and people could have they had different legal rights based on what their class was.
Like Dickens, when Dickens in Christmas Carol, in fact, Oliver Twist. So you have like these people that live in utter poverty. It's like below poverty. We couldn't even imagine today. We talk about people living in poverty in the U.S., and they've got cell phones, and they've got cars, and they've got stuff like that. Then it was like you're looking for scraps in trash. Regularly you're eating rats if you eat anything at all. I mean, it was terrible poverty. But then you had this other class, the wealthy were immensely wealthy, right? They had multiple homes, and I mean, it was just so the gap was just so profound.
I think we have this perception in America that there's this gigantic gap between the rich and the poor, because in some sense, when you measure it in certain ways, that's very true. But it's also true that almost anybody living today is so much wealthier materially than anybody would have been like 100 years ago.
Well, and also comparatively to the rest of the world.
And compared to the rest of the world. But like I said, probably less so than it was. We have less and less abject poverty around the planet today than we did. It's
that's certainly true. But even still, I think America's poorest are probably doing much better than people in people on the street in Calcutta. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. But we don't have that kind of poverty here.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, you're right. They always talk about this wealth gap. Like, you're right. I don't make $100 billion a year like Elon Musk. So the gap between his salary and my salary is huge.
It's technically huge. But I'm
doing really well.
But does that matter?
Yeah, does it
really
matter?
Does the gap matter if you have everything you need?
That's exactly right.
I get it. I can see why you might be jealous, but I don't really know that I'm all that incensed to do something about the gap.
That's right. I think it would only matter if I was being held down by it.
Right.
I don't really think I am. By his wealth doesn't affect me.
Only if you think the alternative is to take his wealth and give it to you, which is theoretically possible, but that's true every time someone with more money in their pocket walks by you on the street. You can knock them over the head and take their money.
Right.
They're not taking anything from you. I don't know. I have trouble with that whole paradigm. I can't really get into that.
Well, classism.
I think the important thing is to create so much wealth in a society that just in absolute terms, everybody's so much better off than they once were. Right. And I don't think it matters whether one guy's got.
And it's also a view of wealth as being finite.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is clearly not true.
Right.
It's only someone who's
Musk has so much money, there's not enough for me. No, that's not true.
Right.
Musk has so much money, and there is plenty for you. Just go get it.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And he's an example. I mean, he moved from, I think his mom was like a house cleaner, and stuff like that until, and so he moved up to become one of the most famous, influential.
He was an immigrant,
authors.
Right?
Was he? I don't think he was.
Either his parents were, at least, I think. I can't remember what his story was.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. To me, immigrants are always the proof that you can come to America and you can do whatever the heck you want. Because I've known so many immigrants.
You're married to one.
I'm married to one who's done very well for herself, and by the sweat of her own brow. Nobody did that for her, and Elon Musk didn't stop her from doing it either. So, I don't know, and she's not the only example. I mean, I know dozens of people in my life who show that that's wrong, and you can't do that in a lot of other places. That'd be immigrants go to Europe and they flounder. They don't do well.
Right.
They're not really accepted in society. It's harder to go from nothing to getting somewhere in life. Yes. If you show up and you fail, you'll have health care and some things like that. The people that are failing do better, but is that really the way you want to design your system to be for the people that aren't? The people that are failing, that's what the system's for? I mean, I guess.
No, I totally concur. Yeah, I like that. There was always that theory that a friend of mine talked about a friend of his who had immigrated there from like India or something like that, and he would always brag because he had like 3 jobs. Mm-hmm. Like, that's such a great thing. I've got 3 jobs here.
Yeah.
He's doing so well. And it's not, none of them were, I mean, because he didn't graduate from college. He didn't really have any technical expertise. He had like, he was like a cashier here, but he had 3 opportunities and was making good money at each of them. So his spare time, and so his family was doing fantastic. His kids were going to college. Stuff like that. So he had opportunity here, which we just don't think about that very much. But okay, move past that.
Yeah.
Let's say we have a time machine. Where would you go? You got one trip.
Oh, well, do I have to be practical about this and only go 10 minutes in the future to make sure my innards don't freeze or boil? Okay.
No, we've tested it.
Let's assume it works.
We sent my dog into the future. Came back.
I've always been kind of prone to being interested in like the deep past and like see what the world was like, like in the Mesozoic or something like that. Like it'd be dangerous, obviously, but I think I'd kind of lean towards that sort of thing. I don't know.
Mesozoic?
Yeah, there'd be a million different things you want to see, though.
I know.
I don't know. It's tough. I mean, do I want to see the future? I don't know if I want to see the future.
Well, if it was this time machine, you would see everything happen, right? Because like everything happens before.
Right.
So that could be a way to cheat.
Yeah, that's true.
Unlike the DeLorean, where you're just from here to there.
Mm-hmm. The way so time travel is not obviously. We don't really know whether it's possible, like in terms of getting the energy to do it, but theoretically it's possible.
Theoretically it is, yeah.
And it would be.
But the energy is
like the Back to the Future thing. It would be instantaneous travel. Right. It would not be changing your speed.
Yeah, right.
Although I could see why H.G. Wells thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Just changing the speed with which you pass through time.
Right.
He doesn't really do the direction. Well, no, he comes back.
Yeah, he does come back.
So I guess he is capable of going in the past, but he doesn't go in the past as far as we know.
We
don't know where he ends up.
Yeah, that was an interesting ending.
In the movie,
he
goes back to the Eloi to help them. He brings a bunch of books to go help the Eloi.
Well, in the movie, the Eloi were not 4 feet tall and, very childlike and everything.
The Eloi are pretty hopeless in the book. It really not.
But in the movie, it was kind of like Planet of the Apes type of thing, where you had this species of humans,
right?
But they were all hot.
The girl from Planet. Yeah. I've never seen the original Planet of the Apes, and I watched it.
You're like,
this is a 1960s movie. I was like, that's one of the prettiest women I've ever seen in my entire life. So what is going on here?
Well, the Eloi in the Time Machine movie are the same thing. They're all normal looking people, but they're all pathetic.
Yeah,
and
they're just
and Weena is very, very attractive.
Not like the girl from Planet of the Apes.
Oh, she was.
That might be one of the best looking women I've ever seen in any movie ever.
She was particularly special. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was.
Let's do another round of drinks, by the way.
Get your hands off me, you filthy apes! What a great. Did you ever see one of my favorite Simpsons when they did the musical?
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes. The
I hate every stinking ape from chimpanzee to chimpanzee.
He can talk. He can talk. He can talk. I can sing.
Alex has been watching The Simpsons.
Has he?
He's like going through all of them. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
he just loves it.
Ainsley got into them too. Ainsley got into The Office first.
That's a good show.
All The Office.
That's a good show.
Then got into Simpsons. It's so funny because there's so many jokes that they don't get. Well, she doesn't get because they were made for people who grew up in the 70s and 80s or earlier. Yeah, the Eloi. So in the movie, he goes back in time. He comes back. He tells all his friends everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets a bunch of supplies,
right?
And goes back into the future to lead a revolution.
He takes books.
He takes
books. The movie ends with the guy being like, "What book would you take?"
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh man, I don't know."
Right. And so this one is different. He just leaves, and you don't know what happened to him. But you're assuming Weena. Sorry, spoiler alert. Weena bit the big one.
Yeah, that's the worst part of the book.
Yeah.
Why does that happen? It doesn't do anything for the book.
No, it doesn't speed anything along.
No.
I guess he had to have an excuse to leave and not go back or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I thought that was very strange.
He couldn't leave with her there, I guess. That's probably what it was. He couldn't just leave and leave her there. Now he had no reason to stay.
I guess, yeah.
If you think about it.
I guess so. I thought that was I thought that part just was terrible. And by the way, in general, who's the other author that's like this that we talked about? Who has great ideas, but the writing is pretty mediocre.
Oh, it was Fahrenheit 451.
Fahrenheit, Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
I think H.G. Wells is very similar in this book. Now I read The Invisible Man a long time ago. I think that one pops a lot better. That's better written.
I don't think he was anywhere near as bad as Bradbury. Bradbury.
This is pretty wooden. At least if you read the prose of people from the Victorian era.
At least he says the word "the sun" instead of the great red disc.
The purple prose is obnoxious.
Oh, God.
But if you read the way people wrote in the Victorian era, I mean, they're just some terrific, just masters of prose in that era. Probably some of the best English prose that's ever existed. And this is just
not.
What's even happening? The story's so blah.
This is very, it's.
He referred to this as an undergraduate effort by him.
Right.
And I was like, I could see that. Okay. Right. At least you have the wherewithal to admit that.
It's not fleshed out. That's. But your writing gets better the more you do, right?
Sure.
Because he wrote this young.
Yeah.
While
definitely.
he was young.
Yep. I wonder if War of the Worlds would hold up. I've read that before, but I don't remember it terribly well.
Yeah.
So I kind of like to read that one again. That's a cool story.
That is. I think he invented the laser in that one, if I remember, because he had the light beams.
The heat ray.
It's
it couldn't have possibly been a laser. I mean, there wouldn't have.
Well, he didn't say laser, obviously, but it's some type of
something like that.
Beam,
yeah. Well, because what's his face used to use it in ancient Rome. Archimedes built a heat ray to shoot the Roman ships with it.
Oh,
and stuff like that. So,
I
think the idea was out there. Anyway. Who knows if that was real, but the idea was out there.
That's a good point.
You know what I was thinking? So the Eloi are being, I guess you call it almost like preyed upon by the Morlocks, or they're almost like cattle or something.
That's how I thought of it too.
But wouldn't that put selection pressures back on them to stop being so docile and so passive?
Yeah, it seems like it would.
If they stood up for themselves, wouldn't they thrive a lot more?
I don't know, because and maybe that's one of the points as well. I mean, they have everything they could ask for, so they don't bother resisting or fighting back. They're so docile. As long as we just keep giving them what they want, they'll be as docile as we want them to be, and then we can come at night and kill them, and take them back and eat them. Right?
Well, but I mean, wouldn't you think evolution would sort of, if somebody was born who didn't want to be eaten and took measures not to be eaten, wouldn't they thrive? Like, wouldn't there be a lot more of them in the population pretty quickly?
Well, we don't know what's going on in the rest of the world, though, do we?
It's true. It's true. We don't. This is just England.
Yeah.
England of the future.
Well, only part of it, too. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah, we're sort of assuming that the same situation holds everywhere on Earth. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think of that. There could be just a normal technological society in North America. Who knows?
Walks over the hill and everything's exactly where it was. Oh, there's London. Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Why not?
Do you know what's going on over there? Oh, yeah.
Why would there be just one situation all over the Earth? I don't know why I didn't think of that till just now.
But, the cattle thing, that's sort of what I had thought of as well. Like, so if you think about the Morlocks, they clothed them, right? Mm-hmm. They gathered their food as far as we know. It was gathered from somewhere, and they didn't do it themselves.
No, you just pick it off the trees, don't you?
No, remember they had all the bowls of fruit.
In the movie, they did.
No. He goes to the table.
Okay.
And they had all that fruit, all these like baskets of fruit and stuff.
Oh, maybe then. Yeah,
they didn't do anything themselves, so they had their own. They were clothed. Their food supplies was just.
I mean, they might just be like cows.
It was just like cows.
They may just not be capable of.
Yeah, they're just like cows, and they're just wandering around happy. But can't do anything for themselves.
But they are afraid.
Well, cows are afraid too.
Are they? Cows don't figure out they're being eaten.
I think if you chase a cow, it'll run.
No, I mean, but the cows aren't like walking around being like, "Oh, at night, some of us get taken away and eaten." Like they don't have any awareness of that.
When there were wolves, I think so. Yeah.
With animals, with wolves that kill them in front of them. Yeah. But the way humans, I'm saying, when humans take off some of the cattle somewhere to slaughter them, I don't think the cows pick up on that.
They probably don't, but
maybe they remember.
But then again, I guess that makes these people. That's what makes them human,
right? That's what I'm saying. So they're like a little bit different than they do have some kind of memory.
But I think they are analogous, and I think
they also have speech. They do have language.
Yeah, they do have language. I think he's using it as a metaphor, though. I mean, they're like if you're rich and you're given everything that you need or want.
He has a sentence in here. He says, "This is the fate of energy and security, art and eroticism, then languor and decay." And it was like I was thinking, like doesn't that kind of feel like where we are,
right,
as a society today?
Right.
Like I hate to be like the fall of Rome, like a lot of people are, but it's like decadence. It's like you have so much. You're starting to worry about things that you're like, is this really worth
Let's spend all day playing video games.
Right.
Get on our phone, cruise social media. When we get hungry, we'll call. We'll use our app to get Grubhub to deliver us.
We don't even have to go get
to deliver us food.
Yes, or prepare the food.
Prepare food. Yeah. We'll have Amazon ship us whatever we need. Mm-hmm. Just on and on and on. I mean, it really does sort of seem like that.
You definitely could live your life in a very decadent fashion.
Well, and I think...
And I don't mean like decadent like in a fun sense. I mean decadent just laying there on a couch and having everything delivered to you.
Well, we live in a fairly rural town.
We do, yeah.
But the place that you'll be moving to...
Right.
You've got same-day delivery from Amazon. Right. You've got grocery delivery from Amazon.
Now, one thing I will say for living there, though, is if you don't get up off your ass and do something, you're not going to last very long there because it's extremely expensive to live there.
It's expensive, but you can work from home.
You can work from home. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
I just, there's not a lot of effort that you really have to put out. Is that a good thing?
It's funny, though, because people walk so much in New York. People are actually pretty active.
When they go places.
It's the suburbs. Here in the country, you're active because you can get out in the outdoors.
Right.
And in the city, you walk around all over the place. It's the suburbs where you drive everywhere and you have everything delivered. You go to the supermarket. That's where people get really soft in the middle.
Yeah, maybe so.
I think. Oops, I'm crunching ice on there. That's probably not a great thing to do.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I think I kind of hit all my spots here.
What's your biggest surprise?
My biggest surprise was the physical changes in the Eloi. I didn't remember that from the book because, like you said, in the movie, they're just kind of
normal
sun children. Sure. They're just all blonde and happy and whatever, but they're human.
Yeah.
Whereas he's like, this creature was 4 feet tall. I'm like, okay, already right there. That's weird that you're into this girl. Like, that's... that's not, what is that all about?
That's like an 11-year-old. I mean, seriously, 11 or 12-year-old.
I mean, she's not a child, but at the same time, it's just like, that's somebody who's very different. That's like another species if they're that small. Like, that's not,
They seemed elvish. Like they're They had their chins were pointy.
He described them being a little bit different. I couldn't quite get my head around what he meant, like exactly picture but they were described as being like
pixie-ish or something.
Like elves or something. Yeah. Like elves, not J.R. Tolkien elves.
Yeah.
But my son has this friend who, I don't know, he hit this growth spurt, right? This kid is 6 months older than Alex, and they were playing ping pong together yesterday. This kid is my height.
Oh, geez.
And Alex is like not 5 feet tall. And it looks like a hobbit and an elf hanging out playing ping pong together. I was like, what is going on here?
Poor kid.
Yeah, that was my biggest surprise, was that the Eloi are not just people in the future. I always, in the film, the Eloi are just the humans, and the Morlocks are some kind of horrible evolutionary thing. But in the book, everybody's very different.
Right. They've all changed.
Than what you'd have today. So that would be my biggest surprise.
Mine would probably be the messaging, the metaphor of class issues, and it had some pretty deep sentiments, like that line that you just read. It was, and a lot of it could be, like you said, related to the life we live today. I mean, it's very decadent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that idea
compared to 30 years ago,
that idea, like Gibbon's Decline and Fall, right? Like ever since that book, there was always this idea, especially in England. Yeah. That like, oh, this is it. We're on the cusp of decay.
And there's so many factors that and I don't know if it's a good, like, I'll take your car for example.
Okay.
Remember
my car specifically, or like cars?
Any of our cars, cars, modern cars.
Right.
Do you remember being a kid, going outside when it was cold, and you had a lot of snow growing up in Virginia, and the car wouldn't start? And sometimes you'd wonder if the car would start.
Right.
And your mom or dad would have to fiddle around with the battery or the starter, pour water on this or that. Something was, frozen or whatever. That was just a fact of life, okay? That doesn't happen anymore. Cars always start. They do. Modern cars are pretty infallible.
Yeah.
And
unless something's really wrong. Yeah.
Unless something's really wrong, but then a light comes on and you press a button and a tow truck comes and fixes it,
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just that we have removed so much of difficulty from our lives in everything we do.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember those commercials for Staples where I think it's Staples, but they just had a big red button.
The easy button?
Hit the easy button.
Yeah, hit the easy button.
The possessing a cell phone with access to the internet in your pocket all the time. We don't even remember how that's just hitting the easy button on everything in life.
Sure, absolutely.
It causes some societal problems, I think, and we're just sort of starting to see what those problems are. But in general, if I compare what it was like when I was 10 and I think about what it's like now and the things I can do, and just finding my way places.
But it wasn't like bad at 10, though. That's what I'm saying.
No, but you're a kid.
Bad,
your childhood is always idyllic.
Yeah, maybe.
But life is easier. I mean, if you
no, absolutely.
If you use the technology and you don't let the technology use you, it's just a good thing.
But as a society, though, we've eliminated so much difficulty from our lives, and I think he was talking about it in a class system. Like, this is what, rich people are like this, and that's not a good thing.
Right.
But then again, poor people are like this, and that's not a good thing. So we got to meet somewhere in the middle. I think there's some messages in there that we could still take today. And that was my surprise, because I just thought it was just a fun sci-fi book, but of course there has to be a message in it. And that's probably why it lasts so long.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by the tie-in to like his own politics and stuff like that. That hit me a little more reading it this time than it had in the past.
So we're at that time.
Are we?
So it's up to you.
Well, I mean, this is a classic.
All right.
I'm not even gonna waste my time. I mean, I love the film. I've always liked the book. I read this book to my son a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
An abridged children's illustrated version, but still, we went through this and he was fascinated and we talked about it.
I think there's one of those American classic comic books too.
Yeah, it's like that.
From the 60s.
It's not quite a comic book, but but it was like one page of text and there's a drawing and one page. And those are really good. We've done a couple of those, but this one holds up, I think.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's dated in some ways.
Of course.
In general, I think it holds up. I mean, it still makes you think and makes you talk. It's also just can be read on its surface, like you said, as like a fun sci-fi story.
Yeah.
You don't even have to think about the implications of it. It's just kind of neat. Ooh, what would happen if? What would the world be like in 800,000 years? And to have created the idea of time travel, and just on one hand, you can count how many gigantic
with a
works
vehicle.
With a vehicle.
Yeah.
And you can just think about how many different things. Doctor Who, Bill and Ted, The Avengers, Back to the Future.
On. Yeah.
There's a million terrific things that wouldn't exist, or at least would have had to have been invented again in some way.
Sure.
So it's a no-brainer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. All right. Yeah. Well, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Toasting this one.
We are toasting this one.
And that'll wrap up another edition of Toasting.
We haven't talked about what the next thing's going to be.
What is the next thing?
It's going to be a film.
It is a film.
And I'm supposed to pick it.
You are supposed to pick it.
And my kids want me to do Frozen. But I don't think I want to do that. I mean, I like it. It's fine. It's a good movie. But
I don't know if that's
I think I want to do something else. I think that I want to go with a movie that I used to really like when I was a kid, and I'm wondering whether it still holds up. And I don't know whether it's a classic. To me, it kind of is. The Professional.
Oh, yeah.
Also called Leon.
Yeah, that's
Natalie Portman's in it as a little kid, and Jean Reno.
Yeah.
Bunch of good actors. The director, Luc Besson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good
whole bunch of good stuff.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Let's go back and let's look at that one and see if that one still holds up.
I think that's a fantastic. That's a good pick.
30 years later.
I think that might be a remake of a Japanese. I think it's a remake. It is a remake of.
Well, the director's French, and there is a French version. We can talk about it. A lot of what you notice when you watch this movie is a lot of it is America. When a French person imagines America, so it makes I watched it the first time. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this is not what life is like. I was
John
like,
Wayne.
okay.
Well, they're making fun of that.
This is somebody who thinks all Americans are killing each other with guns all the time. It's like, okay, fine, got it. All right. The police are hugely corrupt, and it's just stuff that doesn't exist.
John Wayne and Marilyn Monroe. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
fantastic, good pick. Look forward to it.
That's what we're doing next time.
All right.
So I think we're done, right?
I think we're done.
Toasting the Classics is out for this week.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Right. Bye.
That's it for episode 42 of Toasting the Classics. For those playing along at home, get some gin, vermouth, Campari, and if you like, an orange peel to garnish your Negroni cocktails. If you'd like to get in touch, please send us an email at toastingtheclassics@gmail.com. Send us show ideas, comments, complaints, and your thoughts on commingling with near humans. Check out my blog at theattractivenuisance.com and follow us on Twitter at @attractivenuisance. Our music was written by Michelle McArthur. See you next time on Toasting the Classics.